Hey y'all, I'm your host, Aaron Smith of the Offshore Marine Service Association. Each Friday, I'll bring you the Offshore Briefing, a quick rundown of the week's notable developments, updates, and news you need to know in the offshore space. Whether you're on deck or at your desk, we're glad you're here. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Offshore Briefing powered by Maritime in America. As always, I am your host, Aaron Smith, and with me, I have my co-host, as always, Ashley Smith and Angel Johnson. How is everybody?
YOLO.
How are everybody?
We're doing well.
We're YOLOing today.
That's not a term. I know that's your favorite word, but that's not your term. So I think we're going to switch it up, and I'm actually going to try to provide useful information, or at least my version of useful information. We'll see.
That's where we differ. I feel like nothing you say is useful, and everything I say is useful.
Well, that's just yes. I'm just going to let that sit. So I wanted to talk about an important topic today that's been that I've been watching we've been watching since the 70s and have been heavily involved in since 2009. But I really feel since probably 2019, it's become a very big issue, and it just keeps becoming more and more important. And that's the issue of subsea cables. Because about 99% of the data that is sent between continents, which that means that, every time David Strassel orders something off of Temu,
correct,
that information is carried on a subsea cable.
And when you say order from Temu, you mean not Mobile, you mean from where Temu is, right?
Mobile, yes. Mobile is the Temu New Orleans.
Correct.
Yes, we know this to be a fact. But I would say that so when David Strassel orders something from Temu, that information is carried on a subsea cable, and there is more than 1.2 million kilometers of subsea cables that are carrying this data. And really, it's all laid by 4 companies. You have a United States headquartered companies that has no U.S. vessels. You have a French company, a Japanese company, and a Chinese company. Now, the Chinese company has definitely made investment into this space, and they are actually trying to control these cables, and they are putting things that if they are through Chinese seas or laid with the Chinese company, that then if there is a problem with the cable, there is a requirement that the Chinese fix it. Does this sound like a security threat to anyone else?
Absolutely. If
Yes.
if we can't even let a U.S. contractor on a vessel without security checkpoints and going through 80 million things, why would we just let a Chinese contractor without any certification hop on over?
Exactly.
Just pointing that out.
Yes. So, and there have been, there was a case, there's basically like once a quarter, there's a case in Taiwan of an example of a Chinese ship cutting subsea cables to Taiwan. There was an issue in the North Sea earlier. There was an issue by the Houthis earlier or last year. It is obviously a security point. So the U.S. has created a system because we have no U.S. cable lay ships. So the government, it was started in 2019. The government program is called the Cable Security Program. Now the Cable Security Program gets this. Its solution to this problem is it takes $10 million of taxpayer money and gives it to a company so that their foreign vessels will just sit, and if there's a time we need a cable laid or a cable repaired, those vessels will go do that. So we just pay them to be at the ready. Foreign-built vessels, they are now U.S. crewed. They are part of the U.S. registry. They don't have a U.S. flag because they are not built in the United States. So that's our solution, is we just pay a company money.
But we have vessels
that could be doing this work.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, just check.
When you look at the U.S. MPSV fleet, they are capable of doing the repair work right now. So in March, it was reported that China had released, or it had inadvertently released, evidence of its new cable cutting ship, which can cut cables up to 4,000 meters below the surface. That's 13,000 feet under the surface of the water. So, but that's not national. While that sounds and is incredibly deep, there are U.S. flagged MPSVs now that have 13,000 foot of wire on them already. So we have vessels that are capable right now of doing that cable repair. And what we found is that with modifications, we can have cable lay vessels within 6 months, converted and purpose built within 3 years. And we can do that with zero taxpayer dollars. Now, of course, if people are looking to give money, I'm sure we can find some AMSA members that would take that $10 million, but we don't even need that. What we need is to really examine, well, why are there no purpose-built U.S. cable lay vessels right now? Well, it's because in the 70s, CBP got hoodwinked into thinking that laying cables is not a Jones Act activity. So and I'm not talking about international. Obviously, international is not a Jones Act activity. But if you're laying a cable through from one U.S. point to another U.S. point, that certainly sounds like transportation to me, which means it's part of the Jones Act. But no, CBP has found, well, you're actually not transporting anything. You're just paying the cable out behind the vessel. So you're not transporting anything. It's just being strung out behind. What? Like,
sometimes I feel like our children are CBP when they get in trouble.
Why would you insult our children like that? So because of that, U.S. companies can't make that investment because they're always going to be undercut, because by U.S. law, they can't hire Chinese mariners. They can't hire Russian mariners. They have to hire U.S. mariners. So that ends up disadvantaging them greatly. So they can't invest that. So it seems to me that instead of just shelling out $10 million for zero taxpayer dollars, we can invest in we can just change CBP created interpretations and get vessels that can build for our domestic industry and would build for our international, for our, what do I want to call it? For your national security needs on fixing cables if they happen. So it's been a lot of talk about the cable cutting, and then what we do as a response. And we hadn't really talked about it on this podcast. So I just wanted to talk today about how it seems to me the solution is not paying someone to sit at the dock, but changing the rules so that you have true domestic investment.
But not even changing the rules.
Correct. Not changing the rules, changing the dumb interpretation.
Correct. I just feel like we're always talking about logical steps that will save the Coast Guard time and money, will save the country time and money, will save everyone, yet we're never doing them.
And we'll give American jobs.
Think
correct. About Dan and John and all the great mariners we've had on Calvin, all the great mariners we've had. Why don't we want to invest in them instead of just paying people to sit at a dock? That doesn't make any sense.
Because whoever's paying to sit on that dock is paying someone to be paid to sit at that dock.
Yes. So that was what I wanted to talk about this week, just because it'd been on my mind lately and keep reading articles about it. So I thought it was important. So let's see. We said, Angel, you're going next today?
Okay. All righty. So I have another true crime story for everyone. Since
I'm here for them.
last one went so well. So this story comes straight from our Coast Guards. So picture this: a sleepy Honolulu night. The sun hasn't risen yet. The boats at Kewalu Basin are rocking gently. And somewhere between the sound of seagulls and waves, a man walks into a 43-foot yacht, unhooks the dock lines, fires up the engine, and motors out towards Honolulu Harbor. Later, watch standards receive a call from the owner of the vessel stating that his boat has been stolen from the harbor. So they issue a safety marine information broadcast, halt inbound and outbound marine traffic in the harbor, and direct the launch of a 45-foot response boat. So the Coast Guard actually noticed it almost immediately as the yacht was just joyriding in the harbor security zone. Alarms went up and radios buzzed, so cue the Coast Guard cutter roaring out like something from Fast and Furious Maritime Edition. The yacht was weaving and circling. According to one report, it was operating erratically. So that's nautical speak of, we have no idea what this guy is doing, but it's bad.
Could have just been Ashley at the helm.
Yeah.
So the Coast Guard, they finally caught up to the yacht. And there's actually a video on this. Again, this is straight from the Coast Guard, so you can actually find this on their site. But the Coast Guard caught up to the yacht, but it just pulled off again. So they went chasing it again, and then they finally was able to pull alongside of it. They asked him to stop. Of course, he ignored them. So they boarded the vessel mid-water. They took him into custody, secured the yacht, and then, peace was returned. The yacht was returned. No one was hurt. No one died, and the yacht lived to sail again. The owner got its vessel back. And while most true crimes end in tragedy, this one ended in a Coast Guard boarding and a hard lesson learned, which is if you're going to steal a yacht, don't do it in front of the Coast Guard station.
Boo, I thought a cat would have stolen it or somebody killed somebody's husband.
I'm sure there was a cat.
Well, that's my 2 cents for today, guys and gals. Number 1 would be shout out to all the parents trying to survive Halloween this year, especially if you have a tween or a teen, because their outfits are so inappropriate. And it is driving me bonkers.
I just want to say I want to build a time machine to go back to the 1990s.
I understand that, Aaron.
So
I didn't dress like this in 1990.
1,000 people to talk about
I did not. It is getting, as the kids say, OOC, out of control.
Well, I don't have kids, but I felt like I already knew where you were going.
The less clothes, the better. And don't get me wrong, they all look great, but it's just my mom brain is exploding every time.
I just
thank God. Attention. Yeah. Anywho, so that's my 1. Shout out to all us parents who are trying to survive this mess.
Shout out to Gen Z parents because, that's a different.
It is not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
You've got to be all up in their business. Okay, that's shout out number 1. Shout out number 2 is a friendly reminder to everyone that we have so much AMSA stuff coming up. I sent another email today. We've got our AMSA Open on November 7th. Looking for some sponsors. We've got a insane turnout for teams. We've got some great cooking sponsors out there. I'd love a beverage cart sponsor if anyone wants to come drink and drive. Drive and drink?
No.
Sell drinks and drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, it's fun.
Only the
you
last
don't have to drive.
And you don't have to drive. Angel's a great driver. This will be her 3rd time. It's fun. We have our fall conference on November 11th with networking cocktails afterwards. Great lineup. I keep doing speaker spotlights on all those. Then we also have, for anyone operating under the AMSA security plan, we're going to host our annual security exercise on November 20th via Zoom. I sent that out to everyone. Email Ashley if you need the information, because remember, that needs to be done annually. And then we also have our happy hour December 3rd, looking for some sponsors. Keen Miller, SPOC are sponsors right now.
It's pronounced Spock.
Spock. I like SPOC.
I do too, yes.
YOLO. And your sponsorship includes a special half hour before with you and your guests and the AMSA board of directors and me. You'll get to hang out with me for an extra 30 minutes. That's what I got.
So I know everyone will be shocked that I listen to some very nerdy podcasts, and there's one very nerdy history podcast.
Okay, I started listening to it.
It's good, right?
It's nerd approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly deep dive nerdy history, but they always have Duran Duran references in it, which I find hilarious. But just, I feel like you are our Duran Duran references in this podcast. So I don't know if that's a compliment or a...
Yes, that's a question mark. Thank you, question mark.
So Angel Duran Duran was a band in the.
Well, I know they're a band. I don't know their songs.
And I always like to play the young card, and I can't right now. Damn it.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode of the Offshore Briefing. Hope everyone enjoyed it, found it useful and/or entertaining. Probably the Venn diagram of those do not have any overlap on them. So, but we hope you found something you could use and/or be entertained by. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe.
Have a good weekend.
Happy Friday.
That wraps up another episode of Maritime in America. We're proud to highlight the voices and stories that keep the American offshore industry strong. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us, and remember, the course ahead is shaped by those who step up and steer it. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Tune in every Friday for your offshore briefing, and don't miss our next full episode, dropping soon with the very special guest's mariner's perspective. Catch you next time.